So the economy is doing great. Good for Mr. Economy, but my own situation sucks. What's going on with that? Guys, welcome to a channel, The Modern Survivalist, talking about survival preparedness and financial preparedness as well. In case you're new to the channel, remember that you have my books available in the links there below in Amazon, Surviving the Economic Collapse, as well as Street Survival Skills. These two books will really help you get a lot better prepared, especially for the economic aspect of preparedness, having gone through the economic collapse of Argentina and everything that came along with that. That's something you can definitely learn a lot from. So one of the things I try to cover here on the channel, besides the typical things you see in prepper survival, is going a little bit beyond that. One of the things that over the years I've learned to understand maybe better than anything else is that when things really get bad, maybe your best option is just not be there anymore. This is like get off the X, but in terms of the economy going to shit, right? When you have an economic collapse, when your country just falls apart economically, politically, and it just changed into something you no longer recognize, well, maybe not being there is what you should be thinking about. Or not, because life is too damn short. Live wherever you want. Be as happy as you want in your favorite place. But there's something to be said about this. Now, going back to what I was explaining in the start of the video is, so the economy is doing great, but I'm not. Why is that? Well, it's probably because of this guy here, Gini Coefficient, the equality, the equality index. What? That's some woke crap? No, it's not that. The inequality actually index. Oh, again with a quotas and female. No, the Gini index was invented by this Italian guy, Corrado Gini, and it's really not all that complicated. It can go between 0 and 1, right? Between 0 and 1 is basically measuring how well distributed money is in a country. Oh, right, the socialist. It really depends on where you are, how much money is being made, but mostly this index is what makes your life more miserable or not. And it basically goes this way. The Gini coefficient of 0 reflects perfect equality, where all income or wealth values are the same, while a Gini coefficient of 1 reflects maximum inequality among values, a situation where a single individual has all the income while all the others have none. So 1 kind of sucks. 0 is everything perfectly distributed, right? Perfect equality for everyone. Now, I want to emphasize on this thing. It's not about commie politics. It's about how much money you make in terms of how much money your boss makes, right? So let's say you have a society. Let's say a country, society, group of people. The economy is booming. It is 10 million, right? And everyone, you have a population of 10. And the economy is making 10 million. Well, that's fantastic. It's 10 people. We're making 10 million. That's what? 1 million each? No. It's actually one guy is making 10 million. The other 9 are making 0. That would be the Gini coefficient of 1, which is perfectly unequal and one-sided. So you have an economy of 10 million, and there's one guy that makes 10 million and the other ones make nothing at all. That kind of sucks. That is great for one guy, sucks for the other 9. Now, if it's a Gini of 0, means perfect distribution of wealth. But it's not measuring if it's being forced, if it's redistribution. No, the difference between redistributing and distributing is massive. Because if you have perfect distribution of wealth, that would be like what? In our 10 million economy, everyone makes $1 million. That's pretty sweet. But let's say your economy is not really that good. You don't have a 10 million economy. You have a 1 million economy. That is 10 times smaller than the bigger 10 million one. But in this other economy, it is perfect Gini distribution equality. No, it is $1 million economy, and everyone is taking home $100,000. 10 guys taking $100,000 each. Yes, even the owner of the single company in this fictional country. So, $1 million economy, everyone takes home 100 grand. 10 million economy, one guy takes 10 million, the other ones get screw it, they take nothing. You see how that reflects what's going on in many ways in the economy. So I'm telling you the economy in the United States is doing great. But it's not doing great for you. It's doing great for Elon Musk, for Mark Zuckerberg, for whoever makes a lot of money, whoever benefits from a system in which the more money you have, the more money you can make, and the better it is, and the more you accumulate, and everything is aligned and made so as to have that sort of outcome. The idea of the more money you have, the more you can keep on making. The less money you have, the more screwed you're likely to be. And that's what you have in this map here, right? That's what you have. For example, this is Argentina. This is where I'm from. Argentina, Chile, Uruguay. So this is kind of like the tip of South America. And it's kind of like the distribution of the United States, right? Very different economies. The economy of Argentina is very small compared to the massive economy of the United States, but the economy of the United States is where you have this effect of the guy making 10 million and a bunch of other guys, 50 or 1,000 other guys making 20K, 50K, 60K, whatever it is. But all of that wealth is accumulated in a bunch of guys, in a bunch of corporations, in a bunch of players, and it's not really reflecting how well it works for others. The worse it is, I mean, here, for example, this is Brazil. Brazil, you have a big country, big industry, but the money is accumulated in some of those big players. Look at Mexico. Mexico is a lot less, the inequality in Mexico is greater than the inequality in the United States. Again, not in wokish, commie language, but in economy Corrado Gini terms, this Italian dude that started measuring this thing. So what is it that you want? Well, in a perfect economy where everything is fair and everyone makes the same money, do you want to live there? No, I don't want to live there. That kind of sounds like communism, which it is. But notice how in many of these communist countries, it's not really all that great. Notice how, and this is interesting, in these commie countries, looking at China, looking at Russia, the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union, it is less equal than in many places in Europe. That's France, that's Spain, Portugal. UK is a little bit less fair than some of the other European neighbors. Let's make this bigger. Look at the Nordic countries that are known for their standards of living. They have very nice distribution, and it's often the case that the owner of the company on these Nordic countries, the owner of the company does not really make all that much more money than his employees, and he's happy with that. That brings along a huge cultural difference from the United States and from most of the Americas, or America as we like calling it. Yes, it's not just all of the America, all of the in this part of the Western world, we have this idea of innovation, of discovery, the new continent. You're from this part of the world. Either you came from here, there, or from here to there, and you're conquerors and discoverers and conquistadors, right? These guys that used to be Vikings, well, while these guys were conquering the rest of the world, these guys were going in another direction of, you don't want to be like the nail that is a little bit above the others. You want everything to be very, very equal in terms of society, culture, how much you stand out on anything. Even, it's fucking crazy, but even in things like sports, it's not culturally appreciated to stand out, to be better than everyone around you and go like, fuck you all, I'm the champion. That kind of attitude is not welcomed in these countries. And it translates also in the way in which their society goes around, in which they are very respectful of not bothering your neighbor. It sounds a little bit very commie, and in many ways these guys kind of are very socialist. But then it's also something to be said about, you end up in a society where things tend to be quite fair, and maybe not in the way you would appreciate, but then in ways you definitely would, where everyone tries to get along well with others. That has hurt them in the past, very recent past in the disaster that was the immigration waves that just do not fit with these people and their way of living, and they're finally noticing it. Their research shows that yes, the guy that comes over from this part is not adapting. But going back to the main topic of this video, you want to have a little bit of this. You here in Canada, I've never lived in Canada. Canada, I guess, in terms of poverty and wealth and how much money, well, it seems to be a little bit more distributed. And if you're going to be on the lower end of the spectrum, lower middle class or poor even, you want to be poor in Canada. You don't want to be poor in the United States. You definitely don't want to be poor in Mexico or Brazil. You see how there's very little, or, fucking Venezuela for all that matters. Look at what happens in Africa. This is tremendously, and these are all commie countries. These are all socialist paradises. And this is what they have. They have perfect inequality in the commie countries. The more commie the country tends to be, the more poorly distributed things tend to be. Cuba has worse distribution than France, Spain, Portugal, Germany. All of these other countries. What happened, Cuba, with your communism and your distribution of wealth? How is it that these countries have it better in terms of, I work for that guy, but my car is not that much worse than his, and our kids all go to the same school. So yeah, and you need a society where the guy that runs the company is okay with that. Not only that, you need a society in which the guy that runs the company or the restaurant or the tech firm or whatever it is wants that. He does not want to be the super uber millionaire with a fuck you all giant yacht that doesn't even go under the bridges of where you're trying to get it out from. You need people that, you know what, I'm okay. I don't need another million. I need my neighbors to do better. I need my employees to have better income themselves, make more money. This is the perfect example as of why, for example, a restaurant owner in the United States, he probably makes a lot more money than a restaurant owner in France or in Spain or in Portugal. These guys, it's still probably a working. He's not going to be super rich. He's probably going to be, making decent money if it's a good place. But he's going to be paying maybe the employees a more decent salary for the cost of living than the guy from here. Oh, you just get angry and ask for fucking tips. That's how you're supposed to make ends meet. With tips, not with my wages. That's all my money, you fucker. No. So you need a cultural change just to achieve what these guys fuckers already figured out. And again, we're all different. Maybe you don't want to be like these guys. I definitely would like to, I want to have my 3 World Cups, man. For that mentality, you have to also accept the good and the bad. The bad being that, you're probably not going to be exceptional when it comes to beating others, but you're going to be exceptional when it comes to getting along with others, and in many ways, there's something to be said about that. Guys, I'm in a pretty yin-yang mood today, so I'll conclude it by this. Find an equilibrium in your life, a balance to things. You don't want to be... I'm looking at the fucking map. Maybe you do want to be these guys. But you definitely don't want to be South Africa. You definitely don't want to be Mexico, Brazil, or even Colombia, whatever. What is this thing? Anyway, even these communist paradises are all shitholes, as you can obviously tell. But there is something to be said about this. Maybe the balance is where it's at. And if you are struggling financially, economically in the country where you are, there's 2 things you definitely want to look into. One of them is this. How much money are you likely to make? And the other thing is, how is that money likely to end up in my bank account based on my work, my effort? Well, it's going to be rewarded nicely in some of these places, right? Some of these Eastern, this is Ukraine, right? So yeah, they kind of have something. It's not always, a perfect symmetry of, the Nordic countries, because these two should be the same, but the cost of living, which one is it? I mean, and besides the fact that we're in the middle of a war, but the cost of living, how much money are you likely to make? How well are you going to be compensated for your work? All of those things matter and make a difference. In a country where cost of living is somewhat reasonable, where the inequality of wages is not really all that bad, or it's even very good, like, yeah, that's something you may be interested in looking into. Folks, that's going to be all for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care. See you next time.